Okay, so welcome everybody to the Return of Adronis webinar. Happy to see a lot of people here today. We also have this again streaming on YouTube Live right now. So I'm just making sure the feed is working through okay. Just double checking everything. There you go, great. All right, so again, we're in for quite a treat here today. This is the first time in about a year and a half that I have brought Adronis back. So again, I was leaving that role behind back in August of 2021 and decided to basically kind of cut the net and let Adronis go because I've been working a lot more with spirit communication. And so the last couple of weeks, I had the opportunity of talking to Adronis again as well too. And I had these really great conversations through Adronis that was coming through, and I could feel him on a much more powerful level as well too. So he has certainly come back, and the flow has been stronger than ever before. And it's not like he's a net for me anymore. He's not really coming back for me per se. He's more so coming back for you guys because I don't really require him in regards to that role that we once had. So he's coming in just for the goodness of service, just for the goodness of being here and helping all of you out because he loves human beings. He loves humanity. So he wants to still do his part. So he's back for as long as you guys want him for. So like I said, I think we're going to be doing this bi-weekly. We'll be doing a bi-weekly Sunday event with Adronis from this point forward. And I'm also considering bringing him in for private sessions as well too. So if you do want to book private sessions with me, that's something that you guys can do as well too. That is on newearthteachings.com. Okay, that's newearthteachings.com. And you can go into private sessions and you can book there should you want to talk to Adronis one-to-one. That certainly will be available. I'm just doing Mondays right now for private sessions. So it could be a little bit busy. So it's good to order right away so you can get a good spot in line. Anyways, Killian is here and he's going to be the moderator for today's event. So Killian, welcome. Thank you for volunteering for this today.
Thank you for having me. Just a quick reminder to everyone, any written questions should be directed towards the Q&A. It's just really hard to keep up in the main chat. Main chat can be used for general discussion and stuff, but just try and keep those written in the Q&A section. And then for those that wish to speak, go ahead and raise your hand and we'll get to you at an appropriate time. Thank you.
Great, excellent, good. And Killian, you can turn off your video so we can just hear you on audio in the background. And that way I'll just keep this screen on. So just for everybody else as well too, it'll just be audio-based questions. Okay, so if you do have questions when Killian lets you in, just making sure that your microphone is connected. Okay, because when Killian turns you on and gets the microphone live, just make sure your microphone is running. Okay, and Killian will also be going back and forth between the audio and between text-based questions in the Q&A. So if you guys see the Q&A button here on Zoom, you just want to click on that, put your text question there if you just want to ask a text-based question to Adronis, okay? And you can do that. So I'm pretty sure there's quite a few people here who have been with me for a while who have never been able to experience Adronis before. So if you're one of those people, then you're in for a really good treat. His information and his knowledge is absolutely profound. This is basically how I've been able to connect with a lot of the deep knowledge that I've done over the years as well too, is because of kind of sharing the same space with him. So he's going to be quite a treat for many of you to connect with today. Now, what we're going to do first and foremost before I bring him in is we're just going to do some deep breathing exercises. We're just going to do some heart rate variability, and we're just going to relax ourselves and get ourselves more into the parasympathetic nervous system. Okay, so we're going to do that here and now. So just get yourselves relaxed. This is for everybody on YouTube as well too. Just getting yourselves nice and relaxed, nice and comfortable, making sure the body is free of any tension. And we're just going to start with heart rate variability. So 4 seconds into the nose, 6 seconds out through the nose. Okay, so keeping your spine nice and straight and breathing in. 1, 2, 3, 4, and out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and in. 2, 3, 4, and out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and in. 2, 3, 4, and out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and in. 2, 3, 4, and out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and in. 2, 3, 4, and out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and in. 2, 3, 4, and out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and in, 2, 3, 4, and out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and in, 2, 3, 4, and out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and in, 2, 3, 4, and out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and last time, in, 2, 3, 4, and out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and take one last deep breath in, and letting it out through the mouth. And with your eyes closed, I want you just to keep them closed. And I want you to imagine that you are connecting to a particular star, just as if you were to look at the night sky right now, and you're able to see the brightest star in the sky. And that brightest star in the sky is that of Sirius A. That is where Adronis is from. Adronis exists within the star of Sirius A, not within a planet, but within the star itself of Sirius A. Now, I want you just to imagine like your heart is just opening up like a blossoming flower, and you're feeling a cord coming out of that heart. And that heart cord is tethering itself, just like a harpoon, just shooting itself towards that bright star in the sky that is Sirius A. As you feel your heart tether connected to that cord, I just want you to feel like all of that light from the star is now just starting to emanate through your heart cord. It's now starting to flow through your heart cord and going directly into your heart. And this is where you will feel that presence of Adronis. That again is his domain. And so you're connecting with that. So he will also help you with that should you want to learn more about that, about connecting to Sirius A and learning a little bit more about the star of Sirius, for that is again his domain. Okay, and we're just going to keep our heart tethers connected to the star of Sirius for as long as this event lasts today. So again, one more deep breath in, one more deep breath out. When you're ready, you can return. Okay, so thank you for doing that with me, guys. We're now going to go ahead and get started with the broadcast today. Let me just kind of close off any unnecessary windows here. Okay. Very good. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and take a moment now to connect with Adronis. Like I said, it will not take too long. And like I said, Killian is going to be taking your questions. So again, if you guys do have audio questions, make sure you're just clicking on the raise hand button by your name, okay? Killian is going to be keeping track of that. And like I said, he'll be going back and forth between audio-based questions and text questions that are contained in the Q&A. So I will leave it to his discretion. All right, so I'm going to go ahead now and bring Adronis in. So someone may ask, well, Brad, what is your process about how you bring Adronis in? What is it that you're doing? How does it work? Well, basically, again, I've been doing channeling in that sense since 2008. But what I'm doing with Adronis today would not really be considered channeling anymore. I just basically refer to it as direct communication or spirit communication. But back in the days when I was channeling him, I would basically allow him to come through and he would start calibrating my chakra centers. He would also start working with my Kundalini at the same time. So basically he would tune himself into my energy body, and then my energy body would be tuned into his. So it's kind of like you have two energetic systems that are coherent with one another, that are together, that are concentrated together with one another. It's often what they would refer to as lockstep vibration, where the vibrations match. It's like you have two radio dials, and they're just tuning into the same station, and then we're getting a simultaneous connection. Well, that's basically what's happening still. And again, that's that connection, that rewiring of myself is still with me to this very day. So it hasn't gone anywhere. So Adronis is already naturally attuned to me. I'm already naturally attuned to him. It's just a natural capability of me to connect with him. So there are many new age circles, they would call this channeling. However, I don't really use that term that much anymore. And I just refer to it as direct spirit communication. Just basically going into vibrational interlock. So that's basically how it's done. And then when you see Adronis coming through, you notice how my personality in that sense changes. And it's basically the personality of Adronis, where he's a little bit more louder, right? He has more of that direct energy. He's more of that strong kind of masculine energy. But he is that of an extraterrestrial consciousness, right? So he has told me that he exists in what you would term as the 7th density consciousness, right? Where basically he's just like a pure light body, right? A pure living being of light. And that would represent that. Or you can even also look at it as a spirit being of light would be more appropriate. So that's really what he represents. And that's why he is, again, interconnected in oneness with the star of Sirius. So anyways, that's the brief introduction to him. I'll be putting some more information about him back on the Earth Teachings as well too in the next little while. But again, guys, thank you for being here and hope you enjoy the broadcast today with Adronis. Like I said, all questions are welcome, personal, semi-personal, or general. And everybody who's watching on YouTube, you can just look at my pinned comment on the YouTube chat. And if you want to join here on Zoom to ask Adronis a question, you can certainly do that as well too. All right, so I'll stop talking and I'll let Adronis talk now. So just give me a moment here, guys, as I bring Adronis through and enjoy the presentation. Sol star. Sirius. Adronis. We are here at this time. We bid you greetings and thank you very much for the opportunity of this interaction today. I am Adronis of Sirius, sending love, appreciation, and gratitude to all who are tuning in to this particular broadcast being brought forward through your internet collective consciousness. What we'd like all of you to do at this time is simply allow yourselves to get relaxed, get comfortable, and tune in to the vibrations of Sirius so that you may synchronize, harmonize, and align to all the information that we have to share. Also understand that all the information that we shall provide today is simply that of our perspective, our point of view. For all knowledge, all information, all creation itself resides within your very hearts, beings, and souls. Before we commence with your question and answer time, we would like to remind you of the deep appreciation that we have in enabling us through this conduit to once again return, to share our presence once again with all of you. Even though it has been approximately 1.5 years of time through your terms of counting pertaining to us coming through in this interaction in this way, for us, it has only been a moment. And so we know that many of you in that sense have seen much of the information that we have provided through your internet conduit, and that many of you have been asking for us to return because we've heard you. And so therefore it was a negotiation with Brad here to therefore enable us to come together, because we've knocked on his door a few times and saying, Brad, would you like us to return? He's like, no, thank you, not at this time, not at this time. So very well. So we just give him these opportunities of his continued growth. And therefore, again, as we know, everything arranges itself in the appropriate timing. We therefore knocked on his door again and saying, Brad, would you like us to come in? And therefore, the opportunity for us to return has now taken place. And here we are, right here and right now, communicating to all of you through this conduit in which we are immensely grateful for. It is fundamentally true that we do love you, that we do love brother and sister humanity. It's exactly why we're doing this. We're not doing this for any gain pertaining to popularity or fame. That does not exist within our domain. It is the idea that we love you, because we see you as family. As you are family to us, this is exactly why we are deciding to come through this conduit to share ourselves once again with you. We know that many of you have been having very challenging times, especially going back into these approximate 3 to 3.5 years of time, relating to much of the affairs and agendas upon your planet, and that many of you are struggling. Now, we are not here to alleviate that struggle. We are only here to remind you about the nature as to why you're struggling and how you are able to alleviate that if you are willing to do so. So therefore, it was a time for us to return. Therefore, all of the stars came together and everything aligned in harmony. So our deepest appreciation, our deepest love, and our deepest gratitude to all of you who are welcoming our energy back together with you as we welcome your energy together with us. We would like to bring forward Killian at this time. Killian.
Hello, hello, welcome.
We thank you again for being the moderator of this interaction today. So please feel free to commence your question and answer period however you wish. We thank you.
Perfect, thank you. Alrighty, Judy, you had your hand up for a while now. I'm going to go ahead and allow you to talk. Make sure to unmute your microphone before you start speaking. Thank you so much.
I'm sorry, Gillian. I didn't have, that was a mistake. I'll lower my hand because I didn't have a question. I was, okay?
That is okay, no worries. Thank you so much, Judy.
So thank you, Gillian.
Alrighty, so we move on to Val. Val, again, just go ahead and unmute your microphone before you're ready to talk, okay? Thank you so much.
Hi. Hi, can you hear me?
Hello, Val. Yes, we hear you.
How are you, Adronis?
We are perfect. How are you?
I'm perfect.
All right.
Very happy.
What can we do for
that
you
you're
today?
coming. Well, I have a question. Will the interdimensional beings that came to visit me during Christmas Eve come back again soon?
You have to understand that they've never left. From your perception, you see them and then they leave. But at the same time, they're always occupying the same space. You see, it has to do with orbits. It has to do with magnetic arrangement. Therefore, when you meet these particular types of beings and you have an interaction with them for a certain amount of time, that window closes. It's not to say that they've gone anywhere. It's simply the idea that the window of opportunity that presented itself from your vantage point is no longer there. But therefore, in that sense, they are still occupying that same domain until the congruency of the window of opportunity between the two of you that is mutually beneficial for you to interact again can therefore return. So it's not the idea of them being missed, not about them in that sense leaving your space. It's just the idea that they occupy the same domain, but the window of opportunity is not there. Therefore, the opportunity can show itself if that's something that's mutually arranged between the two parties.
Amazing.
All right.
Amazing. And is there a symbol or name to connect to them?
A symbol or a name. Let us see what we can receive. It would be very much the symbol of what you would term as the letter J in the English language, what you would know as a capital J, although you do not have the cross line here. Think of it as a hook, and at the end of that hook is a small circle. Now, if we were to utilize that in their language, they would refer to that as Zatat, Z-A-T-A-T, Z-A-T-A-T, and it is a hooking J with a small dot at the end of that hook, like the letter J. Do you understand?
Yes. Is a particular color? Is there a particular color?
You can arrange a colored vibration, although they do resonate very strongly with the silver vibration.
All right. All right. Well, thank you very much, Adronis. I'm very happy. I'm very happy that you come back.
We are here for you, and we thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Val. We appreciate you. Going to mute you now. Going to move on to Gail, and then we'll move on to some of the Q&A, the written questions. So Gail, I'm going to unmute you, and remember to unmute your microphone. Thank you.
Hello?
Hello, Gail.
Hi, Adronis. So when I look through all your videos and I'm trying to connect with you, can you tell that I'm trying to connect with you?
Yes, yes, we are. This is
Because
exactly
then-
why we have returned, because many of you have been talking to us, you see.
And then when I look at the questions that I have, and I'm looking for answers, and all of a sudden I'll go on the computer and there will be another Adronis video.
Yes, a divine synchronicity coming together.
Did you do that?
Well, it's not that we did that, it's that you have done that, and you're just, again, at the appropriate place at the appropriate time. So you would say that it is a coherency of magnetics.
Okay.
It's the idea that, yes, you are looking for the question, and therefore, based on what you are looking to answer, our response through that video, as it were, is appropriate for the answer. So it's
Okay.
all coming together as a mesh of synchronicity, yes.
Great. So my question was, the last time I had questions that after Africa videos came up, and were talking about the virgins that were here first. So,
Yes.
and then later, the fall of Atlantis, the ruling was done by females. Are they any kind of
Yes.
descendants?
Much of the
from-
idea of what you would know as the earlier times of Atlantis, there were much more, as you would say, female councils or female jurisdictions. This also goes back into the times of the Anunnaki themselves as they came here. They too were, as you would say, virgins. The whole idea in that sense is that they assisted in the birthing of humanity. They were part of the template.
Is this anything to do with Maya? How does the Maya connect with
Well, you
that?
have to understand that Maya represents descendancy. So they were, in that sense, carriers of the ancient knowledge, going back to Egypt, going back to Atlantis. When you look at the Maya civilization, everything that represents the nature of Maya is understanding the way of how things are, even though it represents the nature of impermanence. They were the great masters to, therefore, receive a lot of this information from their ancestors. So they would talk to their ancestors beyond space and beyond time, because really that is never a true nature of things. And they would be able to receive this ancient knowledge. And so it goes back many thousands of years in regards to their ancient technology, to their ancient knowledge, to their wisdom of the stars, their own astrology in that way, to help them understand that they were therefore torchbearers to carry on the ancient knowledge from the ancestors of the past.
Thank you so much. I love when everything comes connected and the story is finally all connected. So
Well, it's always there. It's just that when you're still, everything comes together. You
Thank
see,
you.
when the mind starts to ponder all these things, that's actually what creates more fragments with the puzzle pieces. But when you calm yourself and you let everything come together and saying, yes, I'm aware of these things, you let the puzzle pieces come together and they fit. And now you understand, you see.
Okay, one more question. So I can't channel or anything. Well, I think I do because I wrote a book and it seemed like the words just came. So that must be some
Well,
kind
we
of.
could call that channeling. It's just the idea that you are communicating directly with yourself. All the idea to what you would term as channeling or spirit communication really represents is your ability to connect with yourself on a much grander scale. Like we said, the puzzle pieces coming into the puzzle.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, because I just wondered how the information I'm writing and all of a sudden the information
Well,
comes.
it's not from you. That's the whole idea. The ego will never figure it out. The logical mind will never figure it out because it's coming much more through the subconscious flow.
Right.
Because you are aligned to that and you're not trying to be, as it were, nitpicky about the words that are coming through. You trust in the flow that comes together and the words become themselves. Therefore, you're not really writing the book other than being a scribe. It is the greater self that is writing the book.
Right. Yeah, I knew that. Okay. So in writing these books, is that all that I will be able to do? I mean, I won't be able to channel like Brad because I haven't, but I can pass the information through that.
Well, as we've stated, that really what we're doing with Brad right now isn't really any different from what you're doing. Like we said, it's the greater consciousness expressing itself through you. Now, again, we call it a greater consciousness, but truly there is just one consciousness. And it's you in alignment together with the one consciousness because you're letting your own ego personality sift aside so that only that comes in. It's like you standing in the middle of the river and letting the water flow through you. That's all you're doing. You're just standing in the river. You're not trying to fight the river's current. You're going along with it because you never would be able to fight it.
Thank you so much, Adronis. So yeah, I'll just keep writing my books.
Yes. No, again, it's not to say that that's the only thing you need to do. Explore your world, talk to others, get to know what this world is all about. There is more to it. That is just the idea of what you would term as your task work. Your task work involves the idea of the writing a book, but there's much more to life than the idea of just the writing of books. In fact, greater consciousness wants to show you everything that the earth entails, from the microcosmic to the macro. You see? Spend more time with nature being your teacher. That's what we would suggest.
Yeah, I do that. Thank you.
Very well. Thank you. Questions?
Thank you, Gail. We appreciate you. Going to mute you now. We're going to move over to the written questions. So I will just go ahead and start those. Shelley asks, when will this movie be over?
When will this movie be over? The movie never ends. Because again, if you're looking at the idea of a movie, you're looking at incarnation. Incarnation is, as you would term, a movie. The whole idea of a movie, what is it that a movie itself represents? Can anyone tell us? What is a movie? It's a story of illusion. That's what it is. Because when you look at your fantasy, your fictional genres, when you turn on your television, when you go into a cinema, and you therefore see that beam coming upon the screen, and you see all of these images of your actors, of your actresses, of everything that was put together by the filmmaking director to create this particular movie. All of it was an orchestration. All of it was engineered. All of it represents the idea of illusion. What that means is that the illusion itself is the story, but who you are truly as spirit is the real. So as long as you keep looking into the idea of thinking that everything's a movie, all you're really tuning into is the illusion. You're tuning into the imagery pertaining to what that movie represents and saying, oh my goodness, when is this movie going to be over? Well, you know that if you're watching this in a cinema, you can get up out of your chair and you can leave the movie behind, because there's a lot more to the world than just a movie. You see, many of you just get too caught up in the idea of sitting in these chairs, munching on your popcorn, sipping your soda drinks, and getting too enamored by the drama that you see on the screen. And you think all there is to life is you sitting in these chairs watching that screen. When have you given yourself time to yourself? When have you decided to turn off that screen? When have you decided to get up and leave the theater and spend time with yourself? Have all of you done this? Have you done this frequently? Have you done this in longer intervals? Just sitting in the quiet and getting to know who you are. Being aware of how you think. Being aware of how you feel. Letting yourself go into a quiet space where there is no other disruptions. There is no more intrusions. It's just you. And you're sitting there in the quiet. Nothing is distracting you. There's no television on. There's no radio on. There's nothing of your internet. Everything's quiet. And you're sitting in the quiet. Is that the movie? No. You're tuning into the real. And that is what we suggest you all do. There is a time and a place where you can watch a show. There is a time and a place where you can observe a movie. But there's also a time and a place in that way that goes beyond the time and the place, because you are realizing who you are. And that is to go into the quiet and get to spend time with you. That's going beyond a movie. That's getting to know who you are as the soul. That's getting to know who you are as spirit. That is getting to know your nature. And this is what we have suggested to many of you for many years. Turn off the television, turn off the radio, put the books down, turn off your computers, and just sit and just be. And if you can do that, a movie is not what you see. It is the real that you are witnessing. All right? Thank you. Questions?
Thank you, Shelley, for your question. We're going to move on now to Sharon, who says, I am having digestive problems for the past 2 years and wanted to know why. Also, I want to be a channeler. Should I learn how to be a channeler? Thanks, Sharon.
All right. Well, firstly, understand that in regards to your digestive issues, it's because your digestion is already backed up. There's all these toxins that are contained inside the body, which means you have created congestion in the digestion. So as there's congestion, digestion, the whole idea in that sense is to give yourself a little bit more time to not eat as much. And when you are eating, you're eating food that heals. So a little more fruits, a little more vegetables, having, again, the idea of all of that congestion within your digestive system passing, and working together with appropriate nutrition that assists in the releasing of inflammatory conditions, the releasing of viruses, the releasing of bacteria. A lot of this is found within your citrus fruits. A lot of this is found within your green vegetables. A lot of this can be found in the idea of particular herbs that you are putting together within your body that encourages the idea of releasing of constipation, of releasing of irritatory bowel syndrome, of releasing of Crohn's disease. Your body is only reacting that way because it's been fed toxins. It's been built up over time. It's not to say this is something that's happened overnight. This is something that has taken years to contaminate your digestive system with. So the key is being able to assist yourself in eating the appropriate nutrition, often again, through the nature of citrus fruits, through the nature of green vegetables, through the nature of, again, assisting healing herbs that will help to pass all of that debris within the digestive system to therefore have it to pass, so that you are healing your digestive system, therefore replenishing the appropriate intestinal flora and fauna. But in order for you to do that, you need to clear away everything that does not belong there. So again, it is a congested road that represents that. The intestinal tracts, in that sense, are compromised with their lining. So they're going to need assistance. They're not as powerful as they once were because they're being degraded by what you have been putting into the body. So it needs assistance. It needs help. And so utilizing these particular types of herbs and vegetables and fruits appropriately to, again, assist in passing a lot of the problems that you've been having with your digestion. This is what's going to help you to give a new, fresh bout relating to your intestinal tract and your digestion, so that you can therefore repair the lining with, as you would say, powerful, positive bacteria, right? So take good care of your digestion. Look into the idea of, again, proper eating. Look into the idea of colon cleansing, of intestinal cleaning, and helping to get all of that old gunk that has been fermented within the body for quite some time, and releasing it from the body so that your body has the natural ability to heal. Be aware of what you're eating daily. Don't be afraid to fast a little, because that's giving your body more of an opportune chance to repair itself. Now, in regards to your second question pertaining to channeling, when you're looking into the idea of channeling, many people on your planet don't quite understand it yet. Now, again, Brad does not really refer to this as channeling, and we respect that decision. But basically, when you're looking at the idea of communication, because that's all this is, it's a relationship. You're not just closing your eyes and all of a sudden an entity is going to come in and start speaking to you. This is all about the nature of you building a relationship. So many of you just see what Brad does and say, I want to do what he does. It's not something that was built overnight with us. When we were communicating with Brad, it took, in fact, months before he could channel to the way that he did. And now to communicate with us in the way that he does has taken years, because he was able and willing to build a relationship with us. And we were willing and able to build a relationship with him. And that is where there has been interlock. That is where there has been symmetry. Brad is just as passionate in doing this work as we are with him. And that's why it has worked out so well. It's like how you may have seen other channels where you look at the idea of Jane Roberts and Seth, where you look at Daryl Anka and Bashar, where you look at Esther Hicks and Abraham. These are examples of people who are passionate in the work. And they will connect with these particular entities because they see themselves in them. It's a relationship. Many of you just want to channel because you think it'll look neat, because you think you're fascinated by it, but that's not the reason why it's done. It's a relationship. It's a connection. And you need to have that relationship with the unseen. You need to have that relationship with one who comes to you, who is interested in working with you. It's not just snap your fingers and all of a sudden I can now share all this immense information. Brad has been very passionate in getting to work together with universal knowledge, that he has formed a relationship with God. You need to do that. You need to form that relationship. This is not a one-sided affair. And this is where many channelers get confused. They don't bother to form a relationship on a deeper, soulful level with the one that they are working with. And that is why they often end up with regurgitated messages, because they're not forming the relationship. They're not doing the appropriate work. They're not working with themselves. They're not healing themselves. And that's where there's challenges. There's a lot that you need to do to learn how to communicate well with your fellow brother, with your fellow sister, with your fellow companion who is working together with you in spirit, just as we are with Brad. We love Brad deeply, and we know he loves us deeply. And that's a relationship. That's what you need. It's no more different than saying, oh, I want to have a friend, but I'm just going to grab some stranger off the street and he'll be my friend or she'll be my friend. It's not going to work that way. How does friendship work? You build rapport. You spend time with each other. You talk to one another. You get the idea of how each other flows into your life, about all the qualities that you appreciate about them and all the qualities that they appreciate about you. And now you start to get to know them. Well, that's what it requires, but on a much more deeper level when it comes to channeling and communication. It is about the deepest form of intimate relationship, and you need that. If you don't have it, you're not going to be able to channel. We can tell you that right now. It requires that form of relationship, of rapport, of communication, of communion. That communion with the divine, you have to make the divine you. And when you do that, the divine will bring forward these wonderful beings who you will form such a wonderful, magnificent, and marvelous relationship with to enable wonderful communications of this nature to take place. We do not expect all of you to channel in the same way that Brad does, because many of you will not. You have to find your own niche. You have to discover through yourselves about how you decide to communicate with spirit. You will all do it uniquely. Don't try to be like Brad. Don't try to be like Esther Hicks. Don't try to be like Daryl Lanka. Be yourselves. Do it uniquely. Let the relationship speak for itself, rather than relying on imitation for your salvation, which is actually much more of a setback. The idea of the genuine article is the true nature of salvation. All right. Thank you for your questions. Questions?
Thank you so much, Sharon, and we appreciate you. I'm going to move on to Maria now, and then we'll move back to those who want to ask questions live. Maria says, welcome back, Adronis. My mom suffered injuries on her female private parts at her nursing home last summer and can no longer walk or even stand. I don't want to engage with the energy of conflict and resentment, but I feel I should pursue legal action. The problem is my dad is the power of attorney and doesn't agree. My dad has also been abusive towards my mom before she became ill, which is partly why he is indifferent towards her injuries. I'm sorry to raise such a heavy question, but I am lost and need guidance.
You are not going to win something by fighting with fire, because that's all you're looking at right now is fighting fire with fire. So how about working together with your mother so that she can restore herself? So how about working together with some of the things perhaps Brad is offering through etherics, through healing code cards, etc. Or again, working together with your mother and performing assisted healing with her. How about helping her to heal, rather than looking in the idea of what you commonly refer to as justice, that again mingles together with revenge? Because many of you say, no, this is about accountability. This is about just, no, it's about revenge. Because that's what you're spending your time with. Rather than the idea of getting angry and getting upset about how someone has hurt another, look into the idea about how you can be the healer of this situation. Look into the idea about how you can aid your mother to assist her so that she can restore herself, because she can restore herself. But the only reason it's preventing herself from being restored is because she's injured by the event that was responsible for injuring her in the first place. And you're injured by it as well. Her suffering now becomes your suffering. And rather than being able to build a rapport of healing here, you're looking into the idea of trying to get justice. You understand that your courts are flawed. You understand that what you would know as your modern justice systems are flawed. They are biased, and they really have no credence relating to the idea of resolving a matter, but rather adding to it. That's not the answer. The answer is to spend time with your mother. The answer is to help her with healing, is to be there for her, and to let cooler heads prevail. That's what's going to enable a greater relationship, a greater connection. It's not about the idea of somebody who has hurt another. And because they have hurt another, oh, I need to make that person pay. Well, Adronis, they need to have accountability. We need to take it to the justice system. No, they don't. You see, the whole idea, again, is that is much of your thinking, of feeling that you need to bring them into the justice system, that you need to take them to court, and that they need to pay out through this and that. But in that meantime, that person that's hurt is still suffering. It doesn't matter about the court appeals. It doesn't matter about the justice system. That person is still remaining with that pain. So by you winning a case, is that going to make your mom feel better? No. This is why we say you're taking it at the wrong angle. And it's about spending more time in working, in developing relationship, and encouraging a healing environment that comes together to assist your mother in recovery. So therefore, as the healing comes together, all of the mixed, angry, upset feelings here will now start to subside altogether, because you're healing and you're making peace and you're bringing yourselves into a greater harmony. That is the true, natural, harmonious way of looking at this, rather than the idea of trying to fight fire with fire. That is what we would suggest you look at. All right? Thank you. Questions?
Thank you, Maria. We appreciate you. Going back over to those who would like to speak, Deb, I'm going to unmute you. Make sure you unmute yourself and go ahead and talk when you're ready. Thank you.
Hello.
Hello, Deb.
I am wondering if you could please tell me if you know if I am connected to a particular ET race or a planet or a star, and how this.
Did you have a particular race in mind that is in your thoughts?
Palladians,
Yes.
possibly.
Yes.
And
Well, here's the big secret, Deb. Every species that exists, you have a rapport with. All right. Now, there's a certain one that may have an extra rapport because you have so much relationship that is familiar in regards to this incarnation, and you've already named them.
Okay. And
So that's the whole idea. It's about the idea that if you truly want to have that rapport, you're reaching out to them. So it's like you're extending an olive branch. You're extending that heart cord and saying, here's my heart cord, connect together with it. And let me speak to you in dreams. Let me speak to you in meditation. Let me speak to you through telepathic means, through the idea of empathic interfacing. And that will come if there's a mutual agreement, you see. Many of these beings are very satisfied in just working with you behind the scenes, because they remain unseen as not to distract you in regards to what you're here to do in life. In fact, we would say many of you have these beings that are working with you all the time, different types of beings, different dimensions, different realms, but again, it all just comes back into the one. But nonetheless, they're deciding to keep themselves unseen so that you are able to focus much more on what you're here to do with Earth. And therefore, the assistance they give you is so subtle, you don't even notice it. And that's what they prefer. So what we're saying is that it's not to say that you cannot have a relationship with them, but they work a lot better when you don't know that they're there, you see?
Okay. And I just wondered if there was if that contributed to my role in this lifetime at all.
Well, you have what you would know as a shared relationship. Very much of what you are doing here relates to what you have done there. Helping people out, getting to know who you are, looking into much of these situations that have been political as well too, because there are politics that do exist on other worlds. not as you would say, deeply entrenched as this world, but therefore there's a lot of different forms of notions to which you have explored on this planet. Family, being able to understand your connection to family, being able to understand your connection to children, being able to understand your connections in regards to a lot of the skills and talents that you have on here on Earth that again reciprocate that reflection in the Pleiades. They are not without books. They are not without children. They are not without family. They are not with the idea of their own particular type of media, but their media is much more of a non-fictional basis. They have much more of what you would know as documentation that relates to historical aspects. They don't really have what you would term as your fictional dramatic genres. That's a human trait.
Okay.
So again, there's a lot that they share together, but they're also learning a lot from humanity because humanity is pulling out all the stops, and you are continuing to form all of these different niches that they had no idea even existed. You amaze so many beings that exist. All of you, amaze them. We couldn't even possibly think of that. And here's humanity coming up with something so brilliant. In many beings' eyes, you are brilliant beings to them. Did you know that? Because you're showing them things. You're showing them little niches here and there that they never even considered. And they're wondering, how are they able to do that? It basically amazes them. So you're being of help to many different beings because of what you're doing day to day, what you're inventing, what you're collaborating with, what you're working with. Yes, you have problems on your planet, but look at the solutions that you're coming up with. And that again amazes them. And how you're able to do it so quickly amazes them. How you're able to just pull it out of the ethers and here it is right now amazes them. And that's the idea. So yes, you certainly have rapport with the beings of the Pleiades, specifically within the star that we would term as Electra.
Wow. May I ask
Because
one
they,
quick?
in that sense, are very strongly connected to family and community.
Okay. Could I be really quick with one other thing?
If you wish.
Um,
Time's up. Just kidding.
Could you tell me about my role as a healer here on Earth in this
Well,
lifetime?
let us put it in this way. What does it mean to you to heal?
To help others just open up to receive through our connection with Source.
So would that be the idea of returning yourselves back into your true nature?
Yes.
That's it. So you're basically helping to peel away the veils. You're
Yes.
peeling away Maya. You're peeling away the illusion until the one truth is revealed. What is it? You are the self. So that's what you're doing, helping out everybody accordingly to peel away their illusions, you see. Now, you can do it in a variety of different ways. We feel that you are a great talker. We feel that you are able to tune into people very deeply, that you are able to sense the feelings within others very, very deeply. Yes?
Yes.
Yes, and that is your own navigation to helping you peel away the layers. You're very observant. And that is your, shall we say, skill set pertaining to this particular type of healing, which is only helping one return back to themselves naturally, which you're assisting in your own way through that empathic nature.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
All right. We thank you for this interaction. Questions?
Thank you, Deb. Going to move on to, it looks like Marcia. Marcia, just go ahead and unmute yourself. Thank you so much.
Hi there.
Hello.
Hi, I had a question. I've been working on a project for about 5 to 10 years, and I'm wondering if I should go ahead and build it, and if so, where should I build it?
Well, you've dedicated yourself 5 to 10 years for this particular project. Now, how does the idea of your own local space where you occupy right now sound to build it?
I don't like it. It's cold in Canada here, and I want to go somewhere where it's more healing.
All right.
And
So
warm.
would you consider a migration to the United States?
Yes, I would.
Then
Very
that's
much
where
so.
you are meant to go. Because you
I'm
already feel it. You already know
I'm-
that that's what you're meant to do.
I'm thinking Florida.
Yes.
And what of the project? Is it something that I should go ahead with, or do I
Well,
have to
this
get
is
in?
something that you've been spending a great deal of time working on. So wouldn't you think so? You've dedicated years to this work.
Yes, but it requires a lot of money and I don't want to go
Oh,
ahead.
what
and-
does that matter? Doesn't matter. Again, the whole idea is you're instantly thinking that money has a hold on you. You're not seeing the idea of money as a problem. You're not seeing it in the value of your own exchange. So that is where there's the blockage.
I
The
have to
blockage
build
is
it.
the idea of feeling that, can I get enough money to secure this project? You can get all the money in the world if you need to. But what's stopping you is the idea of limiting yourself based upon the exponentialness of the money that you require. Yes?
Yes, and it's also, I'm not sure if I've been working on it. It's a lot of written work and I want to be able to teach it.
So
And
let's ask the obvious question. What does your new project entail?
well, I want to teach self-empowerment and create a
So why
sanctuary.
would that require a great deal of money?
Because I want it's going to be it's like a one-stop shop. I want to have a sanctuary and a retail.
So
And
have you thought about the
classes.
idea of opening this up in the state of phases?
No, I didn't. I could, but I
So that would be the idea, is that as you are reciprocating through yourself this impression of creating this project to make it happen, you're going at your own pace and you're building onto the foundation as you go. You see, it doesn't have to be one big gigantic mega center all at once. It's the idea that you're starting off in phases at a time and you're creating building blocks as you go and say, okay, now that I've established this, I'm getting a lot of attention with it. I'm bringing a lot of people in it. So how about I put another block here? All right, then I'll do that. And I'll put another block here and I'll put another block here and I'll put another block here. So you're putting it together and you're collaborating together with others. The important part is that you're not just seeing this as yours. Nothing on the earth is yours. Everything belongs to yourselves together. So when you start to include others in what you're doing, they may add some new ideas as well too that may blow you away. I never thought of that. That's really, really amazing. And now you're working together as a team. So yes, you are bringing about the genesis of this idea. Yes, you are the founder of this idea, but you're opening yourself up to team effort. And now this is what enables the more phases to come into this, to make it into, as you would say, a mega center.
well, the problem too is money, and I've made
Money
some
is not the
investments.
problem. You are the problem pertaining to how you see money relating to relationship. It's your relationship with the money that's the problem. It's not money itself. This is where
Well,
many of you struggle. And
Well, I
feeling
can't
that,
even
oh,
get
my
to the
money in that
US.
situation is not there. Doesn't matter if it's the US. Doesn't matter if you need to migrate to another country, you can do it. Doesn't matter if you need to get money in that currency of the United States, you can do it. The
I need
only
a
thing that's
passport.
stopping you is your prevention and thinking that you can't. As long
need
as
a-
I think I can't, that's where there's a setback, you see.
Well, I just need some. I don't have a vaccine passport
You do not
And-
need one.
to get into the Florida.
You will not need one. The United States has recently ended this.
And I need money because all my investments.
As we
Went down.
stated, money is not the problem. Your problem relating to money is the problem. The money itself is not the problem. How you see money is the issue about why you don't have it. You're putting this big wall right in front of you and saying, I don't know if I can do that. That's too much money, et cetera, et cetera. So you don't allow that flow to come in. You close the floodgate.
So just take
So-
my car and go.
Well, we're not saying for you to take the car and go, but what we're saying is that everything that you're willing to do, of what you really want to make out of this work, can come to pass if you let it. Because you're not letting it. That's the idea. We're not saying that you need to fly by the seat of your pants, but what we're
I've been
saying is that you're
traveling.
being completely in harmony with what it is that you want to do. There's
I've
nothing
been
that's stopping you.
I've been traveling all over looking for a place, and I ran out of funds. I have no funds.
As we're told to be about, you are able to acquire funds when you let it come in. People will come to you. They will be aware of what you're doing and they will be interested in investing in you. But the thing is, you have to allow these things to happen, because right now your mind says, oh, no way, there's no way that's possible. Then that's what you're creating.
I've
That's
been
what you're
putting it
bringing up.
out. I've went all over.
It's no,
I've
you
been-
have not been putting it out, because if you've been putting it out, you would not have this restriction with money as you see it happening right now. It's your own relationship with money that's the problem. It's how you see money coming to you, because you're only leaving 1 or 2 doors open through this infinite hallway where all the other doors are closed. We're telling you to open up all the doors.
I've been
and let this
manifesting.
come.
I've been trying to manifest.
You're
I've
not
been
listening to what we're saying. It's not
Okay.
about the idea of you manifesting. What you've been manifesting is limitation. It's been the idea that you're putting 1 or 2 doors open and saying can only come this way, and all of the other doors are closed. And none of those doors are open because of how you see money, not about how you manifest. What you're manifesting is lack. You're manifesting the nature about how you see money. And that's where the challenge is, which means you have to learn to surrender to the nature of how you see money, because that's the problem. That's what you're manifesting. You're seeing all these things as difficult, 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 because of how you have conditioned yourself to believe that. Your beliefs are in the way, preventing these gates from opening up. Whereas we're telling you, you're able to do absolutely anything you want to do on this planet. And you're saying, but. And we say, get the butts out of here. And you say, Adronis, how do I do that? And we say, surrender to it and let it go.
I haven't
Very
doing all
much
that.
like what Brad has been saying about the idea of the release ball method, that you're surrendering all these things. No, you have not, because you're still having a problem with money. If you have been doing that, you would not have a problem with money. If you have been doing that, you would be in the United States right now.
Yeah, but the market, look at the market. It's all
You're
rigged.
again going into outer circumstances. You're going into externals. You're going back in circles here. So what we would suggest is that you really listen to what we're attempting to share with you, to go back into that. You're worried about the market. You're worried about going to the United States. You're worried about a vaccine passport. You're worried about that you've expended all your money and that there's no way that any other money can come to you. These are your blockages. And what we're telling you to say is just let them all go, release them all, surrender to them, and be a clean slate, and let these things come to you, because they will when you let it. You see?
I've been working on this for a long time.
We're
letting
not
it.
telling you that you're not working on this, but you've been working on it. And the idea with that impairment of feeling that these are the conditions that are standing in your way. If you have been working on it, you would not be stressing about the idea of money. But see, you're not hearing us.
Well, all my investments tanked, all of them.
We're not talking about what you have been doing with investments that have tanked. We're talking about what you are doing right now, about the ability for you to make this happen if you're able to forgive all of your debts that you have put upon yourself. And we're not talking about money.
I have.
We're not talking about money. We're talking about your karma. We're talking about your beliefs.
I've been working
We're
on my
talking
shadow
about
work.
the idea. We're not talking about that. We're talking about your problems relating to the nature of how you see money. You say you have been working on it, but you have not resolved it. You haven't. Because if you have, you would not have a problem with what we are sharing here to help you open up that floodgate to let the abundance of money flow. So we need you to look at that a little bit more. Reflect on these words, because it's for you to understand what we're sharing. And this is the best that we can do to help you understand. All right. We thank you. Let's move on to the next question. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marcia. We're going to move on now to Yali. I'm so sorry, I don't know if that's the correct pronunciation, but go ahead and unmute yourself whenever you're ready. Thank you.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes. Hello, Yali.
Hi, yes, this is Yoli. Thank
Yoli,
you so
hello.
much. Welcome back, Adonis.
We thank you. And thank you for joining us today.
You're welcome. I'm working on rebuilding another life after working on myself after my departed loved one, and I moved from Montreal to the Dominican Republic. Now, how do I find my passion?
You do not find your passion. Your passion is what you want. You see, it's not
I
even
already
just
have
about
it.
the idea. It's not just about the idea of passion, you see. It's the idea of saying, am I in my heart for me to make a decision? Because really, from our
Yes.
perspective, do you want to hear our definition of what passion means?
Of course.
All right, well, here it is. Passion means the complete and total acceptance and willingness to explore yourself through the heart.
Wow, this
That's
is
what
one
it
of the
means.
things that we are not used to. Thank you
All
so
right.
much.
So that's
And
the passion. It's like the lifeblood of your heart. It's the drive through your heart. It's not representing the idea of something egoic. It's not representing the idea of something overconfident or cocky in that particular way. It's the idea that you are looking at the life force, the lifeblood of your heart, and you're letting it flow. So you're opening everything in the way so that that natural flow of love, that natural flow of the heart lifeblood can now exercise itself into your reality in any way, shape, or form you see fit.
and
You
would you
see,
say I need to start with that?
so many of you forget that you're in charge. So many of you forget that you're sovereign here. Here you are as God, and you have taken everything that represents the infinite and you have condensed it yourself into this finite form, forgetting that you're God. And that's your problem. So therefore, the idea of you having to find your passion is not something that you need to find. It is not something that is acquired. It's something that you are. It is, again, that natural flow of the life force that represents your heart. Your heart is the ability of your passion. It is letting that be exercised, you see?
And would you say with that, I will be with the loving partner and start my coaching business?
Well, understand that your loving partner is just a reflection of you. So therefore, in order for you to have a loving partner, the love has to begin with you. It has to start
Yes.
with you, because therefore the complement of the reflection of that partner comes forth because of how you are honoring yourself. We're not saying, again, that you're being egotistical or confident, overconfident, or cocky with yourself, because that's not the nature of love. That's not what the passion represents pertaining to the heart. It is the idea in that sense that you are recognizing and realizing who you are. And as you do that, you will bring forward a partner, should you wish, that reflects that complement to who you know yourself to be. You see, it no longer becomes a struggle anymore because you have phased out struggle within your life. In order for you to live a life without suffering, everything pertaining to suffering with yourself needs to go. You think that many of you can go into freedom even though you're still suffering. It can't be done. Because as long as there is a morsel of suffering within you, that morsel will still show itself in your life. Everything that represents the grinding pertaining to the pain and suffering of yourself that is present, it is for you to learn to know that it is there, so that you can therefore make peace with it, so that it can subside. It is the subsidence of your suffering that where all that remains is the natural peace and love and happiness that you are. And now that you're there, everything comes to you. A new partner who's wonderful. You feel like he's Prince Charming. You feel like he's amazing. You feel like he's a knight in shining armor, because he will be that, because it's all thanks to what you've done for yourself. Not because of what he's doing, but what you've done to yourself. You see?
Amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, and welcome back again. Thank you,
All right.
Brad. Thank
So
you,
remember,
Gillian.
remember, you are the peace that you are seeking.
Yes. Yes. Thank you. Good
We thank you.
afternoon. Oh.
Yes.
Thank you, Yoli. We appreciate you. Going to move back to some written questions now. D asks, will we be able to heal ourselves by ourselves? Will we be taught a
Yes.
technique to do this, or will it be downloaded to each of us? If so, when?
It's
Thank
not about a download. It's not about an acquirement. You see, many of you are still under this impression of thinking that you need to reach for something to make you well. And that's not the idea. We're telling you everything you've ever needed is in here. And you simply have to tap into that. You have to peel away all of these layers that are telling you, I am sick, I am feeble, I am limited, I am mortal, I am suffering, I am in pain, etc., etc. All of your conflicts are derived by your programming. It's your programming that makes you sick. It's your conditioning that you apply to yourself that is causing you to be sick. It's not anything else. Therefore, if you're reaching for an external aid, then you are giving power to that external aid, but the external aid itself does not hold the power. It is you that hold the magnetism of that power. You bestow your power onto something external. and you think, oh, look what this external aid has done for me. All right, that's fine. You can simply use that external aid. But what you're missing is the point. You've given it that power. You've made it to what it can be. Because again, you're still working together with your states of programming and conditioning. So when that all starts to peel away, when you peel away the veils and you realize all of these things, all I've ever had to do is make peace with these things. And now they go. Because now the ego is not chomping at them like a rabid Rottweiler. It's no longer trying to bite and gorge into these things to make me feel like I need to be contrasting and I need to be dualistic and I need to be polarized with these ideas. And as long as I continue to feel like I'm doing that, you will never be free from your suffering. As long as you exist in duality, suffering will be your companion. Until you learn to let everything go and come back into the center point of who and what you are. You now have the absolute power within yourself when you're there to make yourself never sick again, ever. We can tell you this. Through the transmission that we are connecting with you right now, we have existed in your years as 84,892 years. This is what you would refer to as a common earth lifespan in regards to the nature of this incarnation to which we are existing in a body. 84,892 years. Throughout that 84,892 years, not once have we ever gotten sick. Not once have we ever made ourselves ill. Not once have we ever made ourselves conditioned by the idea of feeling that we are dualistic to therefore bring about all of these problems and tragedies upon ourselves that impact ourselves in some type of chaotic way. 84,892 years without that. And here you humans are here on this planet, barely living 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 years. But within that time, when you come here on this planet, even though you are administered to much of the externals, the only reason why those externals have had chaos upon you is because you have let it. That's the only reason why you suffer. You're only suffering for that reason, pertaining to you letting the programming of the external world causing you to suffer. It's the only reason it has any power over you, because you've given the power first. It's like handing somebody over a pair of keys and say, here you go. Here's the power to the mansion, but you're going to go into my mansion. You're going to steal everything out of my mansion. You just gave the burglar your keys. You just gave him the keys to your mansion, the keys to your castle, and telling them just go ahead and steal everything inside the mansion, and I'll pretend to be completely and totally awestruck. Oh my goodness, I can't believe this happened to me. Well, that's the analogy about what you're doing to yourselves. You're giving the thieves your keys. But when you live 84,892 years, you learn a thing or two. You realize that everything that's taking place is through your own doing. Everything that's happening in your life is through your own making. Every decision you make represents the orientation of how you see life unfold. And when you see this, and we're not expecting you to live 84,892 years, but when you see this, even as a 10-year-old, a 20-year-old, a 30-year-old, and so forth, you're going to stop giving your keys to these people who you have branded as untrustworthy to go into your kingdom and clean out everything. And you just going there and being shocked. Well, you're the one that gave them the keys to the kingdom and told them to pillage everything. Because you have been the one responsible for making all of that happen because of your willingness to do so through programming. I'm feeble, I'm little, I'm limited, and oh my goodness, because of all that, now everything that I love has been pillaged. You made it happen. It's all through you. So when you clean all of that out, you are keeping your keys in your own pocket. The idea here is to realize that everything that happens in your life is through you. So if you want to perfect yourself from healing, you need to strip away everything that tells you I am imperfect in the way of healing. I am imperfect because I have these situations, because I have this ingrained in myself, because I have this illness and I need to attach to it like a form of identity. Rather, I strip it away and I'm clean because I've made peace with everything. That is the ultimate journey. It's not through a med bed. It's not through some elixir. It's not through some mighty technology. It's not to say that you can't use external aids. External aids can help you, but it's because you are giving that particular type of branding to that as an aid to then eventually realize, well, I can even go beyond the aid right now. So if we're looking at Brad's ether bed kit, it works naturally with your body. It works with your life force energy. And what Brad's trying to teach you by working together with such an invention is saying, you guys do realize that you're able to do this yourself, right? No, we didn't know that. Well, that's exactly why you have the ether bed kit. That's exactly why you have the healing code cards. You have those in that sense that are externals that are being teachers and guides to you. If your bed can make you feel better, there is nothing in the bed. In fact, if you cut it apart, you will find no particular technology in there. You won't find wires or metals or circuit boards or anything of that nature. It's a plain, ordinary bed. But when you start using it, based upon what has been instructed, and you see how this is repairing you, and you realize that you're the power source to that, saying, well, if my body can do this, if my energy can do this, what can it do if I'm able to take command of my own energy? Anything you want. And we mean that very literally. Anything you want. But you have to get out of this loop, this brick that you have put upon yourself and thinking, I'm limited, I'm mortal, I'm conditionalized, I'm suffering, I'm in pain. Because you look at yourself as a mortaling and thinking that you're just this flesh body and that's it. And many of you keep stating that you're on a spiritual journey. When does it begin? Because to know the true spiritual journey is to know you as spirit. It is to know yourself as God. It is to know yourself as the divine. It's not to know yourself, oh, I'm Brad, and I have this physical body. So what? It's not who you are. It's a support system, but it's not who you are. I have a mind. It's a support system, but it's not who you are. I am the self. Yes. Now you see, now you understand. Because to know the self is to strip away everything that you feel you are not, so that you come into the pure harmony and pure grace of knowing that you are the self. So in answer to your question, to move yourself into the greatest state of healing does not come through an external object. It will always be through you because you already are perfect. All right. Thank you for your question.
Thank you, Dee. And I think this is a good time to use some of my discretion. That was an incredible answer for a lot of the questions in here about physical illness. So I'm going to skip around a little bit. And if we have time at the end, I'll try and come back to some of those personal physical illness questions. Now we have a question from an anonymous attendee. How can I attract a mutually loving and romantic partner?
Well, again, it goes back into the previous person's question when she was asking about the nature of passion. And we were telling you that passion is indeed the love force, that lifeblood of the heart. So therefore, as we've talked about, when you're looking into the nature of having a partner that comes together with you, that partner just represents all the things that you truly love that you wished were inside yourself. But in fact, they already are inside yourself. So as we stated, everything that you realize within yourself that you have made peace with, that is the exponential to bringing about a partner who is truly supporting. If you are completely unsupportive of yourself, you will bring forward a partner in your life who is mutually unsupportive. If you are attacking yourself constantly, you will bring about a partner in your life who will also attack you. Whereas rather, when you start making peace with yourself and you're feeling in harmony and you're feeling in touch with life, and the key to this is being able to integrate all of spirit into this physical life, that partner will come into your life and reflect that goodness to you. So therefore, the goodness you place upon yourself will be the goodness reciprocated to the partner that you wish to have, to bring into yourself, to have that relationship, to have that rapport. After all, what we're doing with Brad here is a relationship. It's a type of partnership in a way. Does not mean it's romantically based, of course, but it represents the idea that the relationship is based upon that deep love on a soul level, that we see Brad as a soul and that Brad sees us as a soul. It is not the idea of a means to an end relationship. Those are the relationships that truly stand the tests of time, because many partners will incarnate again and again and again, and they want that partner with them because they are able to see their soul. And that's what you want. Should you wish to acquire a partner, you don't have to. You can go through this life completely on your own, completely stabilized, as long as you know how to make peace with yourself, being your true natural self. But should you decide to bring forward a partner into your life, yes, all that entails is that as the goodness is established within me, remembering who I am, that partner will reciprocate that nature. That's all there is to it, you see? We thank you.
Thank you. We're going to do one more written and move back to those who want to answer live. This one is from Dave. It says, it's the 70th anniversary of World Contact Day this March 15th. Question about our individual participation in this idea. Obviously, we have all been hearing this call. Thank you.
Well, the idea of contact goes way back past 70 years. In fact, we would say that what you would know as your star cousins, your star family, your star ancestors have been on this planet even before humanity existed. So the idea in that sense is that we know that you're referring to a particular type of event, but it goes way further back than that. You see, we have been much more aware of where humanity is as a maturing civilization than you have yourselves. Now, we understand that many of you want to have open contact, and in your own way you can. You're having open contact right now with us. But the key here is knowing that as a collective, you may say, well, Adronis, we want our star family to land. We want them to come here and we want them to introduce themselves and integrate themselves into our society because we know how loving and beautiful and how you've all helped us behind the scenes. We want to make you a part of our family. Well, here's the thing. You already are a part of our family. Here's the second thing. You've told us not to get involved in front of the scenes until a particular point. You've told us that. Well, Adronis, I don't really remember saying anything like that. No, because this is not coming from the conscious self. This is not coming from the ego. This is coming from your own souls. Every single one of you who have come here to sign up upon the planet Earth has basically said, we'll give you the cue when our star family will arrive. We're going to give you the cue. You haven't given us the cue yet. And the whole idea is that we know exactly when you're going to make that cue. That cue needs to happen at an appropriate time. It would be too premature for us to come and land right now and introduce ourselves, despite the idea that many of us look a lot like you and feel like we're going to introduce ourselves and integrate ourselves into your culture. That would be detrimental to you at this stage. You see, humanity has to learn how to take care of itself, and you're still learning how to do that. Ever since humanity has been on the earth, you still haven't really learned how to take care of yourselves. Some groups have, but not the whole. And that this is what needs to take place before you can integrate into a galactic society, because number one, you don't even know your own power. And as you don't know your own power, you can risk harming yourself and you can risk harming others. Because when you go beyond this sphere and you go interstellar, your thoughts are instantly manifested. Did you know that? As soon as you leave the Earth sphere, because the Earth is acting as a buffer, a realm of vibrational buffering. When you leave the Earth and you go out into the interstellar, and you start manifesting, all of those things instantly arise. Like that, like that, like that, like that, like that. You are not in that maturity cycle to take that kind of responsibility yet. You need to reach a certain point on your planet through your civilization to therefore move into the idea of being able to have such a responsibility as that. Because it's a very, very, very different type of experience. And it's not like your science fiction at all. In fact, we would say none of your science fiction movies are even close to being correct of how it exists to, shall we say, live in interstellar space. None of them are correct. Maybe that's a blow to some Hollywood directors. Oh, well, it must be like this. Nope, not at all. Even as you would say, your NASA astronauts have never really gone beyond the Van Allen belt. Many of your space agencies haven't even really gone beyond the Van Allen belt. The radiation field, the magnet, the magnetic field that represents your Earth, haven't even really gone beyond that because it stretches all the way close to the proximity of your moon. And those who have been able to go beyond that have gone through special training. And this is what we refer to quite loosely as the secret space program. It requires a great deal of training. And it must happen more so at a younger age. It cannot really happen in adulthood because there's too much programming. On rare occasions, perhaps. But it's more so that some of these particular human beings are recruited at younger years, so that they can therefore acclimatize to the effects of being in a secret space program, where they are able to develop themselves to what you would commonly refer to as telepathy or telekinesis or other forms of psychokinetic or psi abilities, because that is mandatory. You need to be able to have those abilities. Adronis, is it possible to induce those abilities? Yes, but if you're not ready for it, it can be disastrous. So this is why many of the recruitments in the secret space program will be taken at a young age, often between the years of 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, give or take, around there. And they will therefore be indoctrinated into these systems. And they will therefore move themselves into a loosely termed secret space program to operate because of their potentials. And there are basically what you would refer to as psionic experiments that take place. And through these psionic experiments that take place, it is almost like a gauge. It's like a scale. And their psionic potential is massive. And they would therefore be a good recruit for secret space program endeavors. But when we're talking about the majority of human beings on the planet, because the majority of you have not experienced that, it requires a certain level of maturity. You have to learn to stop fighting with each other. You have to stop learning how to feel like you're out for number one. Everything I do is truly selfish. You have to include the other. You see, it's true that you are performing all these things as the self, but you're still creating that blanket of working together with your fellow man, woman, child, animal, nature, mineral, element, everything. Everything you're doing is working to be in service with everybody else. And that is what is crucial for you to become an interstellar civilization. So you can talk about this date relating to the idea of a contact event that is 70 years in the making, but we would say we have been with you, dear brother, sister, humanity, for longer than you could ever imagine. So that's the important thing to understand. And this is why we're giving you a bit of a glimpse of what is required for you, because you still have no idea about what it's like to go beyond your planet and going into the interstellar and knowing what that life is like, because it's nothing like what you have here on Earth, nothing at all. Everything is instantaneously manifested. You are able to feel each other as one. You are interconnected. Everything works together in the nature of synchronicity. Everything is manifested together in the state of thought. That's what this is all about. So we want you to ponder everything that we have shared regarding that. All right. Thank you for your question.
Thank you, anonymous attendee. We're going to bring it back over to those with their hands up. Dimple, I'm going to go ahead and unmute you. Just go ahead and unmute your microphone. Thank you.
Hello, Adronis.
Hello, Dimple, is it?
Yes. Yeah, and
You have
basically,
cute dimples on your face.
yes, I do have.
Oh,
Yes.
very good. Oh, who could have guessed that? We think.
Yeah, thank you. And it's basically, I've got a few of my answers through the answers that you gave earlier.
All
And
right.
it's like, I have been having a very, very challenging life since so many decades now. And it's basically now, I'm tired, and I basically am looking
So here's
for,
the thing. Suffering doesn't care that you're tired.
yeah, I know that.
Suffering does not care if you're exhausted because you're still feeling it. So if you're tired,
Yeah,
then basically it's letting you know, I'm not going to serve suffering anymore. I'm going to look at what all these causes are to my suffering, and I'm going to peel it away. You see, just like what we have been discussing.
yes, yes. And basically, now I have this, I have had this, and now it's been continuing, like health karma of myself and my child,
Yes.
and also financial karma, and also like relationship karma.
Yes. So what are
I'm
you
like,
going to do about it?
exactly, I have been trying to go further into my spiritual journey, because I know it's not just in this world. It's
So what does that
basically,
mean? How do we go further into our spiritual journey?
I want to get connected to my higher self so that I can get
You already
answers.
are. Your higher self is with you right now. You
Yes,
just don't
yes.
realize it, you see. And again, in order for you to know that the higher self is with you, everything that represents your pain vibration needs to be cleared. If all you're feeling is pain, then that's the only thing in your life. Let's say, for example, that someone smacks your hand with great force and all you're thinking about is how much that hurts. Well, that becomes your entire life within that moment, that emotional pain, that physical pain. How could that person slap my hand like that? And that's where your mind is completely concentrated. Forget about everybody else that's around you. Oh, my hand, ow, ow, ow. That's where your mind is. That's where your awareness is. Therefore, your awareness is with everything that represents your problems, because your problems are like this throbbing, swollen mass. And it's just constantly getting your attention all the time, and you're forgetting of everything else that's behind you. Well, Dimple, did you know that all this? No, I can't pay attention to that right now because this is hurting. I can't pay attention right now because I'm in pain. I can't pay attention right now because this is all this suffering that I'm going through, and I have to address it, and I have to react to it like, ow, 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 this hurts. And that's why you're exhausted. You are susceptibly volunteering yourself to get involved with the pain that you're holding on to. That's what's preventing you from seeing the higher self, because the higher self is always with you. The higher self is very, very subtle. It's subtler than a raindrop. And you don't see it because you're still looking at the Richter scale intensities of all this suffering that is upon your life right now. And what we're doing is we're softening it down. We're softening it down. We're softening it down. We're softening it down until we completely and totally surrender to everything that is there. And what we're doing now is we're coming into the harmony of the soul. The harmony of the soul is the epitome of the subtlety. It is the epitome of the witness. And that's what you have to do. You have to learn to be the witness. Why am I holding on to this? Well, because there's this injury, and it all the way goes back into my childhood. And that's what I need to soften, to soften, to soften, to soften, to soften, to therefore extinguish. Again, this is what Brad has been teaching you through the release ball technique. This is what Brad has been teaching you through prana transmission technique, through BCR technique. It's all of these things that you are softening yourself to. As long as they're loud and boisterous, I am going to be under the mercy of their loudness, of their intensity, because I keep feeding it. This is why the earth is a training ground to help you understand how to function on an interstellar level. It's teaching you through solidity about how to deal with these things. Because if you were to go into the interstellar and deal with all these things, you would go mad very quick, very quick. This is why you're here on Earth, where things are buffered. It's not actually as intense because everything here is solidified. It's a training ground. It's a university. So as you start to shrink all these things down because you're softening them, you're making them more subtle, everything now is coming into easement. Oh my goodness, I can feel my higher self now because I've been able to shrink down the noise. I've been able to render everything neutral because I've made peace with everything. I've surrendered, I've surrendered, I've surrendered, I've let it go, I've let it go, I've let it go. I realize it's not my identity. I realize I'm not attached to this. I'm realizing that these problems are not my responsibility because they are things created by the thoughts of the mind, which is not permanent. It comes and it goes, and now I can shrink it down and I can surrender to it completely. Now through surrender comes peace. Now through that peace, not only are you connecting to the higher self, you are connecting to the divine, you are connecting to God, you are connecting to the self, you are connecting to Purusha, you are connecting to Brahman, you are connecting to Para-Brahman, you are connecting to all that which truly just is. Because everything's quieted down, and that's what it takes. Because the only thing that's loud is your suffering. The only thing that's loud is duality. When that shrinks down, all that remains is the non-dual. You see?
Yes. Yes.
So your higher self is always with you. It's never not been with you. You do not need to acquire the higher self. You are the higher self.
And one more question. I have been like trying to meditate since last 2 years, but it's so difficult to quieten my mind. I can't.
Why is it so difficult to quiet it? Do you know why? Because you're involving yourself with your pain. You're attaching to it. You're identifying with pain. That's why you have a hard time trying to quiet your mind. I'm reminding myself of all the things that hurt. And rather than trying to deal with it, I'm just going to try and endure it while you can't. Because that's where you get exhausted. So rather than trying to cope and endure with your pain, release it, surrender to it, soften it, quiet it down. Because the only reason why it's there is because you identify it, you validate it, you own it, you feel that you're responsible for it. And you need to let all of that go. How do I do that? I step out of the body of Dimple. I step out of the mind of Dimple until all I am is witness consciousness, in which I am complete awareness. And it is through the power of awareness that is able to shrink all this down. As long as I look at these problems by Dimple, then I'm not going to get past them because Dimple identifies with problems. If I identify with this, the mind, I can't do that because a Dimple identifies with these thoughts that identify with these problems. So I need to step out and I need to come into the purity of my awareness because awareness has no conflict. Awareness has no identity. It has no personality. It is completely immune to everything that exists within the mind because awareness doesn't even, shall we say, render the importance of that mind to itself. It is not even really seeing it. So that's why you're being one with awareness and you're watching everything melt away because awareness does not identify with your pain. And so when you are awareness, that is how you're able to completely and totally surrender to everything, as Brad has taught all of you through his release ball method, because it's the same principle. Surrendering through awareness is the only way to resolve all of your problems, period. Cannot happen any other way.
Yes.
That's how it works, you see.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Adronis. Thanks a lot.
We thank you again. Questions?
Thank you, Dimple. Moving on now to Ali. Ali, I'm going to go ahead and allow you to talk. Just unmute your microphone. Thank you.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hello,
okay?
Ellie. Yes, hello.
Hi, Adronis. It's really wonderful to see you. It's a lovely surprise. Thank you for being here with us.
We thank you as well.
As you can probably hear, my throat is not too good, but you've given such a good, yeah, a lot of information about.
So would you like us to teach you how to heal your throat right now?
Well, I wouldn't say no.
All right.
I'm
So
open
here's
to
what
it.
you do. Take your right hand, place it on your solar plexus. Take your left hand, place it on the back of your neck. Now, as you take a deep breath in, and all of you can join us as well too, placing it upon your throat, the back of your throat, taking a deep breath in. As you exhale, very slowly, feel yourself pushing all of that life force energy through your breath, through the solar plexus, up the left arm and out through the left palm of the hand as you finish the exhale. And witness the breath flowing through the neck, the entirety of it, the back, the sides of the neck, the front of the neck, and even fountaining itself through the entire body as well. And simply repeat this. Take a deep breath in, very slowly out, and feel that life force energy being pushed through the breath, connecting through the left arm, the left hand into the left palm, and radiating all of that natural life force energy into your neck, into your throat. And continue to do this a multitude of times. There is no direct amount of 6 sessions for you to do this. You are simply doing it until your throat feels better. Whether it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whether it's 5 times, 10 times, etc. You continue to do it until your throat feels well. Pretty simple, isn't it?
Very, and very empowering.
Yes.
And I think my voice already feels better.
Yes, we can
So
detect
thank you.
somewhat of a difference.
Yeah, thank you so much. I have one other question, which is like a more big picture question. Here in the UK, and I know we're creating our own reality and stuff like that, but I am noticing that when I look out in the sky on a beautiful clear sky, a sunny day, which, you know, we need plenty of here in the north, then there will be a whole bunch of planes will come and then it becomes cloudy. So what is that all about, Adronis? And although sometimes when it's happening, I'm working with the elementals and yeah, and with the sun, and we're kind of burning through the clouds, but yeah, why is that happening? And
well,
who
this is
doing
the
it? And how
transition
can
of
it
what
stop?
you would know as the old things coming to an end, and the retaliation of those old things because they know that they're coming to an end.
Okay.
So it is what you would know in that sense as a particular battle that is taking place right now. And as this battle is taking place, as we said, this is where it's an important time for all of you, that you're standing your ground, that you are linking hands, and that you are working together, because the more of you cooperate, the more you'll see this battle end very quickly. As long as you segregate yourselves, the battle will be prolonged. But it is the ending of old things and the retaliation of those ones that represent the old things that are trying to maintain an uproar pertaining to their need to control everything. They are retaliating because they realize everything of theirs is falling apart.
Yeah.
And that you are witnessing this all together. It is not to be involved in regards to their levels, but rather lifting yourselves up into the true level, as it were, that is level-less, where all of you are working and cooperating together, so that you see all of these things vanishing together, because the only reason why many of these things are staying is because so many of you are still afraid. Your fear is what's prolonging this battle to continue. Your concern, your anxiety, your stress, your anger, all of these things are being fed upon. And so that's rocket fuel for much of these, shall we say, old guards. And so they try to utilize that to their advantage, even though they are dwindling in numbers. So when you notice that it's a clear day and all these planes are flying by and all of a sudden there's cloudy skies, well, again, that's their retaliation of them not wanting to quit, because they do not want to lose their power, even though it is inevitable. And it's happening right now. In the best way we can put it, it is a planetary war that is happening. But you are winning the war. Not
Yeah.
to say that this war in that sense needs to be won. It's the idea that peace will be established so that war doesn't need to happen anymore.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's cheered me up enormously, Adronis.
So
Because
this is why we
essentially
say
Australia's
that
the
to
death
all of
throes of
you, to all of you that are watching this, the key that you are able to, therefore, love thy neighbor is at play here, is to work together. Is to firstly know who you are as God, love God, therefore love your neighbor, that whom is your companion, that who is you as well. And when you're all able to do this, you will see all this end very quickly. But as long as you do not do that, you're going to see this prolonged. Because again, for you to prolong this requires the idea of you giving into fear. And as long as you give into fear, that is the rocket fuel that you're giving to those who you want to see dissipate from life. Please remember that.
Yeah. Yeah, because once upon a time I didn't believe it was true.
Well, many
And now
of
I'm
you do
actually
not
seeing
want
it
to
with
be,
my
it's true.
own eyes.
But it's no more different than the ostrich holding their head in the ground, trying to pretend like nothing is happening when they're about to be hunted down, you see. So it's not about burying your head in the sand. It is being
No.
aware that, yes, your planet is going through a war, but it is going into a conclusion war because we would say those that represent the counter forces, as Brad says quite often, have already won.
Yeah.
But this is the retaliation effect. This is what you would say as the, in that sense, the unwillingness to give up their power. And this is why they're frantic and they continue to make these mistakes and they keep tripping over their own feet and they continue to be taken advantage of. And this is why all of that represents the old guard is systematically being taken down. Bit by bit, day by day, week by week, month by month, year by year. And it basically represents that they've made too many mistakes. And rather than the idea of trying to bow out, which is not their nature, because they have oriented themselves to move more so into the demonic way of life. And that is what they decide to do. If I can't have this earth, then no one can. But rather in that sense than concerning about this, all you have to do is be up here. Do not go to their level because you will only drown in the water with them. Go up here, while still at the same time reaching out your hands because you have to understand these people are still you. And the hand is always reached out to them. It's never pulled away. Some of them have taken the hand and they have come to the counter forces and say, yes, I want this to end. In fact, that's exactly why the old guard is basically fading away. Because more and more of them are taking this hand and that hand never leaves them. Come to me. Come into the light, my son. Come into the light, my daughter. Come into the light, my child. Take it. And many are taking it. Some may not, but many are. And this is why we say that what you are witnessing right now is the complete and total dissolvement of the old guard. That's what you're witnessing. This is why we say it's such an exciting time on your planet right now.
Yeah,
because
sure.
you're witnessing everything that has held you into a particularly slave-based context falling away. All of it's falling away. But see, many of you do not realize it's falling away and you still react as if you're still under that slave umbrella, which you're not. But you can't look over your heads to see that that umbrella is not there anymore. You're still dwelling on the past. And again, that's only going to cause you to plummet and suffer and risk drowning with those who are losing their authority. It doesn't help you to go to the levels and stoop to the levels to which the ones themselves have sheltered this chaos from. Please be aware of that.
Yeah, it slows everything down. Yeah.
We thank you for your question.
Thanks, Adronis. Bless you. Bye.
Thank you. Questions?
Thank you, Ali. Once again, we're going to move on to one more hand raised question. I'll move back to the written questions.
And Killian, we will take 3 more questions for this interaction.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Helen, go ahead. I'm going to allow you to talk. Just unmute yourself.
Hello, Adronis. Thank you for taking our questions today.
Hello, Helen. Yes.
My question is about vision and humanity. And
Yes.
as we're shifting, hopefully, out of this war state, right? It seems to me that several people's vision is being affected. I'm hoping as it's shifting more heart-based.
Well, that's only because you're still at the level of thinking that you need to retaliate. You're still in victim consciousness. That's why your vision is skewed to that idea. It's all based upon where you set yourself pertaining to the bar. For those of you who are not involved with these things that are happening upon your planet, where you are simply looking to offer love and compassion and support and encouragement to others, you're not involved with those affairs, and therefore your vision becomes much more clear. Whereas those who want to retaliate and be angry and want revenge and want justice, et cetera, their vision is skewed because they're still fighting at the same level as the opposers. So it's all about setting yourself pertaining to the nature of the bar. Are you going to go down to the gray? Are you going to go down to the black? Or are you going to start moving up the color spectrum, going all the way up into this pristine color of white, where you are all seeing, all knowing, all being, everywhere present? Then that is where you're seeing everything with great clarity. This is nothing more than a vibrational match game to where you even go beyond vibration itself and you simply are. And that's where you're free, you see? But as long as you keep involving yourself with the dramas of this world, your vision will always be skewed because you're looking at things from a limited perspective. You're looking at things physically. You're looking at things through the idea of continuity and through the nature of logic. And that always represents the lower end of the bar. It's not to say it's a bad thing. The whole idea is that many of you connotate yourselves tremendously just through the nature of logic and reason. And through the nature of logic and reason on a lower level, this is what's enabling you to feel that you have skewed vision. There is a higher logic and there is a higher reason, because that is in complement to the idea of the respecting of everything interconnected infinitely. There is what's known as infinite logic, and there is what's known as infinite reasoning, because logic is no longer being the gatekeeper to try and erect walls around everything that represents what is. Therefore, we would suggest that you look into higher logic, that which complements the existence, not even the existence, but the beingness of the infinite, rather than looking at the lower logic, where you are only judging the idea of impressions based upon a physical world that you still don't even understand. By seeing the idea of, I will see it, and then I will believe it. That is, again, becomes a skewed concept. Rather, when you look at the idea of higher logic, everything is possible because everything is perfect. That's the higher logic. That's the higher reasoning, because it complements the nature of the infinite. It does not shelter you in from it. You see? That's the difference.
I do, Adronis. So with the physical form, is it possible then to support the heart to the visual field? So as people are, so could it, if I'm supporting myself and others who I work with who are losing their vision, who are doing your practices quite incredibly, and they are losing their vision, to support that development for the consciousness as you're speaking, is it possible then, is there a way to like support in the, like the occipital nerve, the heart to the occipital nerve or the cerebellum, or is
you have
that?
to understand that everything pertaining to your body is one organism. It's not compartmentalized like a dresser drawer. So everything works together in correspondence to everything else, which means you have the ability to see through the heart. You have to understand that represents the brain. The brain itself is not just what is contained as an organ within your cranium. It's the entire spine. It's the entire nervous system. Now, the nervous system connects to every single organ in your body. It is basically what you would know as the power wires. It is the life force energy that basically gives the power to the entire body to operate. So therefore, everything that is connected to the nervous system is part of the brain. It's part of the spine. It's all part of that neurological system. Therefore, everything pertaining to the body is one organism and one unit. It is not the idea of compartmentalization as your medical science suggests. That would be an erroneous teaching.
Thank you. So Adronis, then holding the field as the, let's just say a person is losing their vision as they're releasing.
So what do you mean by losing their vision?
They physically cannot see.
You're referring to physical vision, to physical eyesight.
physical eyesight is being lost as
That
there
is only because of degradation pertaining to many different factors. When you were able to learn how to reverse the degradation, which, as we've talked about, comes through the nature of empowering yourself, working with the power of your body, the potency of your life force, then those particular situations can be reversed. But again, many of your scientists have not discovered this yet because they don't know about the power of their own consciousness. So for you to basically look into the physical representation of repairing one's eyesight represents the idea of, firstly, the elimination of all toxins, viruses, bacteria, and other harmful agents from those areas altogether, to which they are then cleared. Therefore, then being able to work together with the potency of your own natural life force, endowing this particular form of life force energy both into the ocular natures of the eyes, to where regeneration happens slowly and over time. Therefore, something like etherics technology has the ability to do this gradually. But the whole key here in that sense is to clear away the troublemakers that are responsible for the lack of one's eyesight, because it all comes from degradation. It's degradation physically, it's degradation emotionally, it's degradation mentally. So all of those factors need to be taken out of the way so that they are not trying to create a resurgence of disaster pertaining to the functioning of the eyes. So when you're working into the nature of the repairing of the brain, the greatest elixir for that is your own life force, when you know how to direct it. And that is what the etherics technology is teaching you how to do.
So in the direction of life force, as we hold for each other or for ourselves, the direction of life force.
It is all about the idea of implementing prana into the areas that are starved of it. The only reason why this degradation happens is because of a starvation pertaining to the natural potent life force that you possess. It creates these particular blockways in regards to different degrees of neurological systems, in regards to, shall we say, veins, in regards to nervous system, in regards to arteries. All of these things are therefore basically being atrophied and degraded in a particular way, where the potency and vitality of the bodily system is not in coherent means function. So what you are doing instead is you are placing the life force prana, often to what you would term as hands-on healing, onto the patient, onto the individual, to where all of that life force is now flowing concurrently into the areas that are compromised. And through gradual recession of this nature, this is what's enabling the reunification and revitalization of the areas of organs or other particular forms of materials within the body that have been compromised through certain states of damage, to therefore resurge themselves into a healthier state of being, because of the resurgence of prana that is now coming into the body to, shall we say, reawaken the functionings of the areas of damage that have been dealt internally through physical, mental, and emotional means.
Thank you, Adronis. One last question then. As this life force, as we're doing your beautiful, I love everything you're saying, so thank you so much. As let's just say I'm holding the person's ability to have their own life force and supporting their prana so they can have restored vision, physical vision, knowing that the nervous system is all, it's not necessarily segmented, as we said, heart to brain or all that. Don't worry about that as much as making sure that all of the impurities, or the things that need to be detoxified from their system that have caused the visual decline, be able to give it an opportunity to be released so the prana is restored and their vision, their physical vision would have.
And their prana is not restored. Their own organs are restored through the natural life force. You see, you can never impair prana. Prana itself simply is. It exists beyond the material. You can never impair it. It's the idea of starvation. So it's the idea in that sense of, shall we say, let's put it in this particular way. The wires themselves are not cross-connected efficiently to open up specific circuits in order for the life force energy to flow. It's all part of a biological circuit system. And if that particular circuit is compromised in any way through the idea of degradation of the quote unquote wires in that way, nothing in regards to the natural circuit that receives prana as a magnetic can therefore heal. So what you are doing is you are reinforcing the prana itself to repair the circuit to where there has been integral damage. As the integral damage therefore becomes repaired, the circuit itself is now able to flow harmoniously again. Just as you would say, a computer developer who is able to engineer a system is able to manufacture and replace a circuit with another, or being able to repair a circuit appropriately because there was damage done in regards to its degradation. That is exactly what's happening. Your human body is a circuit. It's a very advanced circuit. But nonetheless, there can be degrading to it. There can be, again, volatile states of toxicity that comes in that affects the, shall we say, overall integrity of the body altogether. So when you are utilizing the healing energy of prana through yourself or through another, that prana is working together in a concentrated state to work in completely reaffirming the nature of the circuit so that it can be integral again in regards to its capacity to function.
Thank you, Adronis. If it's possible, one other question here. What if this particular person with this visual issue has decided she's ready to see this soul family? And is she lives at that vibration, but she's not in a community that...
It's not about your decision on a conscious level to do that. It is about the idea of your greater self expressing it all together without the need for words. So therefore, as we stated, the higher self is not something you acquire. You are that. The idea of your divinity is not something that you acquire. You are that. Awareness is not something that you acquire. You are awareness. It simply comes into that nature. The conscious self has no say. It's the weakest part of yourself. It is the greater self. It is that which represents, as we said, the fire of that passion, the lifeblood of the heart that is enabling you to go, because that goes beyond the idea of one's own personality-based conscious self to give about that will. It's not to say that that will is not valuable, but the whole idea in order for that to make it happen is that you have to surrender, not try to make an effort. Effort is actually what degrades and creates walls. It is the effortlessness that you therefore surrender to, where everything's available to you. And it's like you're just walking under the idea of spirit power. It's not even you investing in this energy to walk forward. It's just the natural impulse to do so. We call this intuition. So when you're working with your natural intuition to simply be that which you are, it will be as effortless as you can imagine it to be. You see?
I do see. Adronis, do you have anything like eyes like we have on Earth?
We are, as you would say, humanoid in, shall we say, similarity to your sons. But is the idea of what you would know as us being a spirit living body, that we are a body of spirit, not so much of the idea of flesh. But however, we are able to address ourselves and annotate ourselves into any appropriate form of our choosing. But in regards to our ancient form, it would be what you would know as human or humanoid in nature. Very similar to your complexion. 2 eyes, a nose on the face, a mouth, 2 ears. Our ears are slightly pointed as well too. We often have, in that sense, greater height than yourself on average, averaging between what you would know as 6'9" to 8 feet tall in height. So therefore, even though there are somewhat slightly different attributes pertaining to our ancient physical form, we are not limited to that physical form, because we can be anyone and we can be anything and we can be anyhow, anywhere, anywhen.
Thank you, Adronis.
And at some particular point, you will remember how to do this yourself, and you will be able to do everything that we can do, regardless if you're over 80,000 years old or not.
Okay, Adronis. Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right. 2 more questions. Thank you. Is Killian still with us?
I forgot to unmute myself. I apologize. I'm going to prioritize general questions just so that we can hopefully all glean insight, since these are the last 2. Tatiana asks, how do we know if Earth is hearing our prayers and love that we send her? We see her.
No, you will not know until you actually are in the alignment to hear her. Because again, your alignment is too much into panic. Your alignment is too much into fear. If you think that anything pertaining to what you would know as the divine can hear you, it can. but you do not believe that it can because you are completely entranced into the nature of fear. Is that the full question?
That was the idea of the question, yes.
Yes. So again, it is through the nature of your own fear to which you have shrouded yourself around to give the impression like Earth is not hearing you. Because all you're doing is you are just completely circumventing in between your problems back and forth, like going through one door and going out another one, rather than seeing the entire corridor. So that is why you do not feel like Earth is hearing you, because you're not in the alignment range to realize that Earth is hearing you and is always listening to you. But because you are feeling problematic issues, that's what your world represents. As long as you have problems, that becomes your entire world, is problems, because it's such a loud magnetic. When you learn to shrink it down, as we've been talking about through the discourse of this interaction today, you will be able to hear everything. That's how it works. All right.
Perfect. And for our final question, I'm going to take it over to George. George says, "Good day, Adronis. I have listened to these discussions. Based on these things, what should our relationship with the world be since all is Maya? Should we not be involved with the world?" Thank you.
It is not to say that you are not involved with the world, but you are involving yourself with the world in erroneous ends that causes you to suffer. The world is not a planet of suffering, because that's what so many of you think it is. All that's involved in this world is suffering. No, that's not true. Because when you look at the nature around you, does it suffer? No, it doesn't. It is completely in balance and equilibrium with everything that exists on this earth. And nature is attempting to be your teacher and just say, be with us, and we will show you the way. But it's because you keep putting on these ideas of man-made impressions and you look into artificialities about what humankind is doing to the earth that you think that this is just a floating ball of suffering, when it's not. Those are the man-made things. That is you involving yourself with the man-made world, and that is duality. When you look into the nature about what the true non-dual is, you look into everything here on the earth that is natural. And that becomes your teacher. So it's not to say that you are not involving yourself with the world. Rather, we encourage you to involve yourself with the world, but to look at the world as it truly is, because your man-made systems is not the nature of what you believe the world is in entirety. You are involving yourself with man-made affairs that is causing you to be hurt, that is causing you to be ill, that is causing you to suffer. And you are ignoring everything else to the natural splendor of this world that is trying to show you what the true world is. And that's what you need to cultivate within yourself a lot more, is to see the natural of the world and be the natural of the world. And in that way, you will know through the involvement of the natural world how to be involved with such a world that is trying to help you out and set you free. That's the idea. That must come through nature, not your artificialized man-made systems. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Adronis.
We will take one last question.
Perfect. Okay, so we'll bring it now to Lakshi, who says, "Hi, Adronis. Could you please clarify on a certain person who was a disciple of Buddha, a blue being called Mugalan? And could you give a bit more information on reptilian beings who lived in Asia? Thank you."
Mugalan would be what you would know as an intra being, not an extra being. All right. So basically, you would understand it as part of the own inner alchemy of your own nature. So that's what we can give you as a hint. You need to look into that more. When you look into the idea of a blue being in that sense, it's not the idea of thinking that there was an externalized physical blue being on your planet. It is much more in that sense of an interior dialogue relating to the inner spiritual development of yourself, to which that Morgellon being represents. Okay. What is the second part of your question again?
Could you give a bit more information on reptilian beings who lived in Asia? Thank you.
Well, there are a variety of different types. Now, many of those particular beings have basically signed truces. Now, those that decide to remain here are here in regards to the remaining of, shall we say, the idea of where the earth is going to continue itself, to what you would commonly refer to as a new earth. Those who are completely in disagreement and have been warlike relating to certain reptilian races has been, in that sense, brought into exile. They have basically, in that sense, performed an exodus to leave this planet because they are no longer meant to be here. We cannot really elaborate too much on these particular forms of affairs right now. Now, we would say that there are different types of reptilian beings, some that do look like your newts or your lizards, some that do look like, as you would say, serpentine beings. There are also ones in that sense that may represent the idea of the impressions of gargoyles, or similar in that sense to what you would know as crocodiles or alligators. But again, these are just certain examples of specific reptilian groups, not only throughout Asia, but also throughout Europe as well. Even some that are also stationed under the subterranes of which you would know as Australia. But again, many of these particular beings wish to keep their privacy intact at this time. Therefore, we will respect that in doing so. So therefore, we cannot really elaborate too much in regards to their agendas right now, because in the greatest and most respectful way we can put it, it's not your business to know. We thank you very much for this interaction today. I am Adronis of Sirius. We send love, infinite love, and appreciation and gratitude to our divine human family here. And we know that there will be another interaction to which we will, shall we say, reconnect with all of you once again. I am Adronis of Sirius. Goodbye. And we will speak to you again in another perspective of the now. Okay, great. Well, thank you, everybody. That was a wonderful interaction today with Adronis. Had a really great, amazing amount of questions there. We just went over 2 hours. Fantastic. All right. So again, guys, this is going to be happening every second Sunday from now on. Okay, so our next Adronis event is going to be taking place on March the 5th. Okay, so Sunday, March 5th, we will have another live free Adronis event. And like I said, I am going to be available for doing private sessions with Adronis. So if you've enjoyed everything that you received today through Adronis transmission, then just go to newearthteachings.com. Okay, so you should know where that is. It's all over my YouTube channel, newearthteachings.com. Okay, and you can go ahead and you can book a one-to-one private session. That is the only one that I'm going to be doing right now with Adronis. So if you want to talk to Adronis, it needs to be through the one-to-one private sessions. It will not be through the 3 questions by email. Okay, but just the one-to-one private sessions only. So thank you for today, everybody. And I'll again be back 2 weeks from now for another Adronis transmission. And of course, I'll be back this coming week, Thursday and Friday, New Earth Tarot, and of course, New Earth TV Live. So hope you've all enjoyed this today. It's a wonderful transmission. Killian, thank you for volunteering. Really appreciate that. And I'll talk to you guys next time. Be well.